We are hours away now from Election Day, joined now by Anthony Salvanto, CBS News Elections and Surveys Executive Director. He has been going through the numbers here in Texas and really throughout the state of the entire state. Early voting numbers are down a lot, Anthony, compared to 2018. What are you seeing when it comes to early voting?
Well, let's start with the national picture. I think this could hit record turnout for a midterm. We're estimating now 119, maybe 120 million. And in terms of early voting, I think half of that could be cast in advance by mail, early voting. That could go into the mid to high 50 million range. So what's really important about that, Ken, is that we see such dramatic differences between the way the parties approach casting their ballots. Democrats have tended to use more early and mail balloting. Republicans have told us they're going to turn out in large numbers on Election Day. The way that moves into Tuesday night is, as the results come in, urge everybody to be patient. As we go coast to coast, we're going to need to understand what's being counted first. Is it the Election Day vote? Is it the absentee and early vote? And see those differences because of the different ways the parties use these ways to cast their ballot. So that's part of the dynamic that's really going on in terms of turnout and then in terms of what we see as the results come in on Tuesday, Ken.
Yeah, Anthony, I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about that when the returns begin to come in tomorrow night. Tonight is sort of the calm before the storm. We know that you're going to be elbows deep into this work tomorrow. I'm curious what exactly you and your team are going to be watching out for as those results start to come back.
Yeah, it's a great question, and we're going to tell you, the viewer, everything that we see as we see it. Our data desk is right here in CBS News studios. And the first thing I'm going to look for as polls start to close. On the East Coast, it's Georgia first. That's a big Senate battleground, of course, followed closely by North Carolina. Could be another battleground there at 7:30. And then on to Pennsylvania is another big one. We're going to get some indicators of the way the House races are going. We're going to get some indicators from the national exit polls and the state exit polls about whether that turnout is breaking more towards the Democrats or more towards Republicans. Those are your early indicators. Then as we go on into the night, we're going to get other battleground states. We're going to get Wisconsin. We're ultimately going to get Arizona. And there again, we're going to start to look and see if the Republicans are turning out in force. For Democrats, I think a big key is going to be young people. Now, the early vote maybe hasn't been as young. It's been a little bit older, maybe not as young as Democrats would like. I think that'll be a big question. Are young people turning out for this? That could potentially save some of the Democrats' chances. If they don't, the electorate skews older. That could help Republicans, Ken.
Yeah, and Anthony, you spoke about younger Democrats, younger voters just really in general, and their part in this election. So let's talk a little bit more about sort of that demographic. What else are you watching for when it comes to the demos?
Well, let's start with those younger voters because it's only been in around the 40-odd% range, depending on state, where they've told us that they're definitely going to vote. So that makes them a very big mystery, if you will. Will they show up? Other demographics, I think, start in the suburbs, whether you're in the suburbs of Philadelphia, whether you're in metro Atlanta, and frankly, even in your state there, we're looking not just around the border region where you've got some competitive congressional districts, looking at the Latino vote, of course, and we're going to look at the way those suburbs start to swing if they do, because they've been so pivotal in 2018 elections and the 2020 elections. That's where I think the story is really going to be told. So I'll be looking there. As we go coast to coast, it's going to be very much that same story. It's going to be Republicans, many of whom have been saying they're concerned about the economy, voting on that. Many Democrats who in the pre-election polling have told us that they're concerned about the state of democracy, concerned about the abortion issue. That's going to be the two big forces that are sort of pitted against each other, motivating that turnout, Ken.
Like I said earlier, only hours away from seeing it all go down. Anthony Salvanto, thank you so much for joining us. Of course, CBS News Election and Surveys Executive Director, we wish you to get some rest tonight. We will be tuning in tomorrow evening for all of the information coming in. CBS News coverage of the midterm elections Tuesday beginning at 7 p.m. right here on CBS 11.